Hey there and welcome to another episode of Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Accounts, coming to you live and direct from the Maybank Trading Academy here in Kajang. My name is Nelson and joining me as usual, Mr. Shebby Singh. Great to have you here.
Pleasure, Nelson.
As well as special guest today, Mr. Fadzil
thank
Ismail,
you very much.
Acting Head of Maybank Customer Experience, as well as Mr. Rajni Kumar, who we'll call Mr. Raj from now on, who is actually a participant from our recently concluded Football Fun with Shebby coaching clinic. Of course, as you can see, we're a little sweaty as the clinic is just finished actually. And I tell you what, the clinic went really well, guys. Of course, it's brought to you by Football Everyday and Maybank Graduate Banking. So let me first start by asking Mr. Fadzil, what you thought about today's session in general?
Oh, it's great to see all the youngsters coming together, learning new techniques and all. I think one thing which Shebby mentioned to me, this was not supposed to be a football clinic. It is something like more of an football education.
Right?
Yeah. So it's great because people thought that they know everything about football, but actually there are still fundamental basic things which they really need to understand.
Great stuff. Moving on to Raj. Raj, I'm going to ask you, did you enjoy the clinic? Which part do you like best?
Absolutely, I enjoyed the clinic because of our guest Shebby Singh is here. So the best part was the discussion open to the floor with Shebby Singh. Right. Because we only can see him in the TV, and now we can talk and
see and touch him.
We can talk and discuss with him. So that was the best part.
Right, but what do you think about some of the, your friends, the new friends you played with, some of the talent that was with you today?
Most of them are very young, and this kind of clinics education is better for them to improve more and to understand football, not only play like what Shebby told us.
Great stuff. So Shebs, bro, I'm sure you had fun. I mean, did it feel good to kind of be back on the field?
It's always fantastic, because I'm a student of the game, and it's great for me when I can physically, try to impart some of my knowledge with the participants. And I thought we had a mixed bunch. I thought some of them were very receptive, and Raj already mentioned it is not just about playing the game but understanding the game as well. So I hope that the participants would have taken away something which they will remember, and I hope the next time we see them they'll be much better players.
Right. But so very quickly, your thoughts on the group in general? I mean, in terms of talent, enthusiasm.
I think there is a lot of talent. Enthusiasm was aplenty. They're really very willing to work and to listen as well. And yes, if they're willing to put in the hard work, definitely there's an abundance of talent that can be tapped in the future.
Great stuff. So before we get into today's football chat, let's take a quick look at some of the highlights that went on this morning. So here we go. Sit back and enjoy. After registration, Shebby started the session off with a classroom session about the analysing of matches and understanding football in general. After that, it was down to the business on the football field, where our group of Maybank customers strutted their stuff. And the day rounded off with another classroom session to analyse their performances and discuss match tactics. So I tell you what, it looks like everyone had a great time. So just before we head for our first break, let me ask Encik Fadzil, which team you support and why?
Liverpool is my first team, sort of like the first love in football. Well, it is very obvious because I come from the 60s, 70s, so that is the team that conquer Europe, and that's the best club then. And since then till now, being a loyalist, so I would say that I will continue to support Liverpool, and the best out of what Liverpool has, I think it's more of the theme song that they have, the "You Never Walk Alone."
But when you say that the team now is Man United,
well, they
Spurs or Man City.
Still Liverpool.
In the heart, it's always Liverpool, but it's okay for MU to win games, to win trophies and all that, to win the glory.
Yeah, I guess every club has
they will come to their time.
And Raj, very quickly, who do you support?
Yeah, exactly. The same team, Liverpool.
Wow, Shebs. Two Liverpool supporters with us.
Yeah, die-hard fan of Liverpool.
I mean, why and who's your favorite player?
Because since the schooling times, the team that I well known is Liverpool. So from there onwards, I'm a Liverpoolian.
Wow, and you have like some.
Such a fanatical supporter. He's even got a Liverpool FC tattoo.
Oh, all right, you were telling us that
Yeah.
before we started the show, right?
Exactly.
Well, guys, great stuff. Thanks for being here with us, Chef Fazil. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank you very
great
much.
having you. Raj, good
Thank
to have
you.
you with us as
Right.
well on Football Everyday. It's time for our first break here on the show, so we'll be right back on Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Account. So see you soon. Welcome back to Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Accounts. And here on the second segment of the show, my name is Nelson, of course, and I'm still with you along with Shebs. And joining us on this segment is another special guest, Badiuzaman Jamhari, who was also a part of this morning's Football Fun with Shebby Coaching Clinic. Good to have you here with us, Bud. You don't mind we call you Bud, right?
It's okay.
Before we head into the chat, right, I got to ask you which team you support and why.
Okay, I'm the biggest fan of Chelsea FC.
Right.
I support.
Shebs, we should have guessed from his blue pants and
I'm supporting Chelsea because of before this I'm the big fan of Jose Mourinho, and after he left, I still supporting Chelsea. And then Frank Lampard, John Terry, we still have the big players there. Didier Drogba. Supporting Chelsea till the end. That's all.
Right. Really passionate about football, which is great, of course. But time now to get into the business, which is, of course, BPL football. So let's start with one of only two games that were played last night due to the poor weather in England. Arsenal were held to a 2-2 draw at home by Everton. Sheps, most would say David Moyes' team were the better side on the night, I think, right? And they came this close to winning the game. So
Yeah.
would you say
for long
Wenger's
periods.
boys deserved the draw?
I mean,
Or-
they would consider themselves lucky to get a draw. I thought for long periods, Everton dominated the game, were the better side. But Arsenal, when they came back to 1-1, and then they lost their professionalism. They became very anxious to try to get the winning goal.
Right.
And it was a very, very poor situation that they created. They were up there attacking a corner kick, and it was Everton who
one,
hit them on
yeah.
the counter attack. But credit to them, I mean, there's enough resilience about them to come back into the game. Yes, seriously, big points dropped, but for Moyes, you can see the Everton team is getting stronger and stronger. And I thought playing Marouane Fellaini as a defensive midfielder was the key.
Right.
Landon Donovan looked very sharp for the 1 hour that he
Right.
was on the pitch. So yes, well deserved by Everton.
Right, I mean, Landon Donovan aside, I mean, and Fellaini, of course, but what do you think of Cahill and Pienaar's contribution overall?
I thought, Cahill enjoys that attacking midfielder's role where he just does as he like, and Pienaar is coming into his own as well. They looked very dangerous on the counter attack. At 1-1, they looked extremely dangerous despite the fact that Arsenal had more possession. So I mean, Arsene Wenger will be really, really upset with these 2 points
So
dropped.
definitely disappointing result then for
Very,
Monsieur
very
Wenger.
disappointing, because I mean it's a chance to put pressure on Chelsea.
Right.
And I think Bud will be very happy.
I'm very happy with that. We're still
Right.
on top of the table, and we still have one game in hand.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're happy, man. Because over at St Andrews, Man United could also only manage a draw. Coming from behind for a 1-1 scoreline against Birmingham. Sheps, your thoughts on United's performance?
I think you
I mean, we
can,
saw the changes that Fergie made, right, after the loss to Leeds.
Yeah, I thought the changes were good until you realize that Paul Scholes is going to play in a deep sitting midfield role. He wants to ping 60-70 yard balls, which
Right.
he's never done his entire career, and he
Right.
gives the ball away more times than other players. They dominated. I mean, to be honest, I thought Man United dominated the first half
Right.
without creating too much.
Right.
They didn't really make Joe Hart work, and then they found themselves a goal down, and
Right.
it is a bit of a desperate situation in the second half. Equalizer came from an own goal, did not really create too much as well. So there is something lacking about this Man United team. It's just beginning to look a little stale to me,
Right.
a little too predictable.
Right. So you think it's the predictability that was that's the problem yesterday? I mean, look, most were expecting Fergie to set his team out to bounce back after the loss to Leeds, right?
Yeah, but you know,
which
if
they
you,
didn't.
if you if you only start with one striker, I mean, what kind of message are you trying to give?
Right.
You know, there was no statement of intent,
Right.
and it's no surprise. But I would say Birmingham would have been very disappointed if they had lost this game. I thought they defensively they were well organised, they were very disciplined, and you know, I think a point apiece, fair.
Right. So I got to ask you, since you mentioned it, Chaps, I mean, about the one striker thing, got to ask you what you make of Berbatov's total absence from the United squad yesterday.
I think it was rather strange, but I mean, I think Berbatov must have taken a knock or something in training.
Right.
But then again, this is becoming a bit of a trend. If you play one bad game, Sir Alex Ferguson, you know, puts you in the freezer for the next 3-4 games, and then he brings you back, and then he expects you to perform.
Right.
I mean, I am beginning to question Sir Alex Ferguson's judgment
right.
this season. I'm just beginning to get the impression he's losing his edge.
Okay, great stuff from you, Shep. So very quickly, but you're happy, man? Both Arsenal
course.
and United drew?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Okay, time now for email of the week, which comes from Mr. Lee, who's actually a massive fan of ex-United star David Beckham. Lee says that even at his current age, Beckham is constantly proving how valuable he can be to any team. You know, and loan spells such as his second stint with AC Milan now will only help Becks to prolong his career. I mean, Shebs, do you like Beckham as a player?
Very true. I think, you know, as a player, unquestionably he's a legend. I mean, you know,
Right.
take away
in his own right.
Yeah,
Right.
take away, you know, the publicity and the glamour machine. David Beckham, you know, is such a true football fanatic. I mean, he keeps himself fit. And at 34, you know, to be able to perform in Serie A speaks volumes for his commitment to the game. And I think for that, we should respect him. He is still a fantastic player.
Will we see him at the World Cup?
I would think so. I mean, I'd be very, unless, you know, he gets injured, he should be in Capello's team. And still, I think at this moment in time, nobody's got a better right foot than him.
All right, great stuff. But it's time for our second break. Just before that, congratulations to you, Mr. Lee, for your efforts. You've picked up a nice prize courtesy of Adidas. And if you're a Maybank account holder, do let us know as well. And you'll also take home a Maybank pack consisting of a Maybank bag and an Adidas Premium. You want to write to us as well, please drop a line to football@thestar.com.my. Till we see you after the break, do stay tuned to Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Account, and we'll be back before you know it. Ciao. And you're back with us on the third and final segment of today's edition of Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Accounts. And of course, this is where we dissect the weekend's upcoming fixtures. So we'll start with Stoke City versus Liverpool. Sheps, results so far, you know, haven't exactly gone their way, I think. But I think you agree with me that Tony Pulis' side aren't too bad a team, I think, on their day. On their day. I mean.
Not at all. I think, you know, they will create a lot of problems for Liverpool. Yes, I don't think Liverpool will enjoy their direct style of play.
Yeah, very
but
physical.
there is something about this Stoke team. I think, you know, we can include them, you know, along the likes of Fulham and Birmingham as being the most improved teams in the Premier League.
Right.
So it is a difficult game. And I will not be surprised if, you know, Liverpool lose it.
Lose? Well, I was going to ask you, you know, with home advantage, would you say that the Porters can get a result, you know, maybe a draw? But you foresee even a Liverpool loss?
I think there's every reason to believe that. I mean, you know, Stoke City went into a 3-goal lead against Fulham, even though they allowed Fulham to score 2.
Right.
So there is plenty going for them. I mean, Tony Pulis has done an excellent job. They're much better from what they were last season.
So, score prediction then?
I'm going to go with a 2-1 for Stoke City.
Wow, I hope you're right. Mr. Rupp. More misery into Liverpool fans, so sorry. But yeah, okay. Over at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea welcomes Sunderland in what should be a cracker. Sheps, with some key players away at the African Nations Cup.
Yeah.
Surely this is the best time for any team, you know, I mean, to try their best to get a result against the Blues, you think?
It would be. I think, you know, Sunderland,
No,
Steve
Bud's
Bruce
laughing.
are desperate. You know,
Right.
Bud will be laughing because he supports Chelsea.
Yeah.
And maybe he can tell us why he thinks they're going to win.
We really need to win. That's a must-win game.
Right.
I think without Drogba, Mikel, we still can. We still have Daniel Sturridge there. Frank Lampard. I think this is the time that he can score more goals, and I think Carlo Ancelotti will do a great job on in the Stamford Bridge.
Wow, you sound really confident. So
Yeah.
give me a score prediction then. Obviously, it's going to be a Chelsea win, right?
Yeah.
For you at least.
2-0 Frank Lampard.
Wow. Okay. And moving on to Old Trafford, where Man United will look to exact revenge over surprise package Burnley. Sheps, I mean, with Owen Coyle now gone, I doubt we're going to see a Burnley double over United, right?
No, not at all. I mean, if that happens, then Sir Alex Ferguson would be would be going somewhere, possibly moving to Burnley.
Right.
I mean, it is an interesting situation because Burnley don't travel well,
Yeah.
and Man United need a big result. They need to go out there and really thump someone,
Yeah.
And Burnley are coming to Old Trafford,
Yeah.
and Sir Alex Ferguson has got to get it right because, I mean, pressure is mounting. He just seems to fail at the final hurdle. A win against Birmingham City and he would have been top of the table, putting the pressure on Chelsea.
Yeah.
But he is putting himself under pressure. So Man United, comfortable. I'm going to go with a 5-0.
Wow, I really
Before
hope
you
you're right.
ask me.
I really hope you're right. So, Burnley in store for something like what Wigan got, a 5-0
Well,
hopefully.
definitely. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
look at that, and think, Wigan are perhaps slightly better than Burnley. So you got to smash them.
All right, I hope they smash them. But very quickly, Everton face Manchester City at home. So give me a score prediction, or who do you think is going to win?
Tough games, I think.
Yeah.
With Vieira, and I think Adebayo will in. So I think maybe draw.
Draw?
Yeah.
This is the logical result to go for.
I think I'm
Sheps.
going to go. I think Mancini will taste defeat for the first time. I think this Everton team, they are playing better and better.
Right.
Their form has been improving over the last 2-3 games, and at home, I think they could dismantle Man City. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Everton.
Great stuff. So, Sheps, lastly, Bolton at home to Arsenal. Home win, away win, or draw?
Oh, it's a difficult one. I mean, Bolton with Owen Coyle, at home can make life difficult for everyone. So I'm going to go new manager, win 1-0.
Wow. You're being really bold this week. But nice one, guys. So just before we leave you, as usual, this week's Football Everyday Fun Fact is on Burnley's ex-manager Owen Coyle, who's taken over at Bolton. Did you know that Coyle actually made an appearance in the Scottish football film entitled A Shot at Glory in the year 2000 alongside The Godfather star Robert Duvall, Michael Keaton and Ally McCoist? Sheps, do you think he can shoot Bolton to glory? I mean, especially with some quarters branding his move a sideways one.
Well,
you know what I mean?
to be honest, I
Yeah.
mean, you look at Bolton and Burnley and you think, which one of the clubs is more stable. I think Bolton are more stable. Bolton have been in the Premier League longer than Burnley ever will. And I think there's enough about the Bolton team. I mean, whenever I think of Bolton, their midfield comes to mind.
Right.
Matt Taylor, Ricardo Gardner, Tamir Cohen,
Right.
Lee Chung Yong, Fabrice Muamba. There's 5 of them. And when all 5 of them play, they can be very difficult to play against. Up front, Davies, Almanda, Ivan Klasnic,
Yes.
Gary Cahill in defense. They're not a bad side, So I think Owen Coyle has looked at the squad, compared it to Burnley's and said,
I
even
can
if
do
it's
something with
sideways
this,
to
right?
the
Yeah.
critics, I'd rather be there.
All right, great stuff, guys, as usual. So, but pleasure having you
Yeah,
with us.
thank
Hope you
you
had
very
fun in
much.
the clinic. And
Okay.
thanks for being on the show, Sheps. Good to have you as
Pleasure
usual.
indeed.
See you
Yeah.
next week, guys. That's it from Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Accounts for this week. Till we see you next week, enjoy your football. And it's ciao from us here on Football Everyday, brought to you by Maybank Premier Accounts. We'll see you soon.